Hello, I'm Emily Amick,
And I'm Joe Piazza.
and we've got issues.
And so do you. We all do.
Our country certainly does.
Certainly. It
Wait.
certainly does. And that is why we're here. We are here to give you a weekly dose of the news that you need to know without all of the cringe, the exaggeration, or the hype.
We're here to keep you informed, but also to give you hope because we all deserve hope.
So much hope. I want all the hope, okay? Each episode, we are going to take one or two topics and help you break it all down for what it means for you without the BS.
And today we're going to talk about the RFK Jr. affair and answer some reader submitted questions.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about with this affair, and it was blowing up my phone all weekend. So many people had so many questions. And look, one, it's juicy. Okay, like this is juicy and pulpy and it's got all of the things. But two, we're at a really weird moment for journalism. And so this matters. It just does. It's not just gossip.
Yeah, we're at a time when people's sort of faith in the political journalism industry is at I don't know if I would say an all-time low. There's no way to quantify that, but like certainly what is fact and what is fiction and who could be believed is like a barely stable foundation of the information that makes our democracy work. I also think that the curiosity gap is what often causes people to watch a video, for example. It's the industry term. And the word digital affair has, I think, enlightened many a curiosity gap. And the double play on words is hilarious. But also, like, what were these two doing?
What were they doing? And that's what everybody wants to know. Before we get into the what were they doing? Look, can we do the TLDR? Because some people, I've got friends who have tuned out news. And like when I brought this up to them, they're like, what are you talking about?
I mean, God bless you if you have tuned this out. In Jessica Yellen parlance, news, not noise. So there is a New York Magazine reporter, Olivia Nuzzi, who is that how you say her last name? I don't actually know how to pronounce her last name.
Pretty sure it's Nuzzi.
Yeah. Who, she is a sort of more scandalous reporter than the norm. She started out her career as an Anthony Weiner employee who like left and wrote an expose, right? Like the start of her journalism career was political scandal.
Yes. It was salacious, okay? It was a little salacious.
Yes. And she has really taken on the MAGA beat and the Trump beat in particular, but not in an incredibly critical manner, right? Like she has been more willing to romanticize capital R Trump than most other reporters on the beats right now. So it was revealed that she had a 9-month digital affair with RFK
First,
Jr.
They didn't say digital at first. There was an inappropriate relationship.
Right.
What we learned first.
So
yes.
like 2-ish years ago, she did a profile of him, which he reportedly did not like.
Right.
But I suspect, like Trump, he's a little bit of the all press is good press type of dude. He just like wants any attention. So I'm not.
And then the man bragged about killing a baby bear.
Right.
And putting it in Central Park. So yes. No boundaries. No fucking boundaries here. Yeah.
And of course, like the background is also that this man's during his previous marriage engaged in like an astronomical number of extramarital affairs, which allegedly drove his wife to suicide, right? Like that is the background of this whole thing. And I think that a lot of people have been very confused about his relationship with Cheryl Hines due to the fact that she seems normal and he seems profoundly not.
I mean, I weirdly think about it a lot, right? She seems normal. She's part of like Hollywood.
Right.
And which is not normal. So of course she's not normal, but she doesn't seem like a wackadoo.
Right. And she seems to be, she has like stepped away from a number of his more egregious opinions, like on I'm remembering something about the Holocaust, but she hasn't like been like, no, he's a nutbag. So all of that is the background. We find out Olivia, it's leaked in a newsletter run by Oliver Darcy, right? Which is a very, very interesting way to leak. Semaphore, I don't know if you saw Ben Smith at Semaphore, another upstart media newsletter-ish company, has said like, oh, we were scooped. We got the tip also, but we didn't react quick enough, which is fascinating. They were like from an anonymous IP in Iowa. Makes you wonder. Jessica Krause, House and Habit, claims that she thinks Olivia did the leak herself, which is fast. It's a whole other aspect of this story, which is fascinating.
Wow. Also,
Um,
the house and habit of all of this is fascinating. Man,
fascinating.
I
I mean,
mean, we should do a whole Under the Influence episode of on House and
we should
Habit,
do a whole
because
5-part series.
we should do, fine. Okay, done. Well, let's just do it,
Yeah.
and let's live stream it.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's just
Fuck. Let's just do what
let's
House
just
and Habit does and just talk out of our ass.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
With florid prose.
With florid prose. I can be florid.
You actually can. I am
You can't.
clinically
No, it's not
incapable
your.
of being
You
florid.
are. You
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
If anything, parsimonious, I think, is that the word?
It
Uh,
is. It is. Yeah.
so any who's in wagon, we have RFK Jr. engaged in this quote unquote illicit relationship. We learn New York Mag is putting Olivia on leave. And then like the news just trickles out over the weekend, and it's quite a back and forth. And this is very much the start of any good Brooklyn based novel where we have a series of unreliable narrators who are all like profoundly self involved and you don't know what information to trust. So, like, interestingly, one tidbit of information that has come out again through Jessica Krauss House and Habit is that RFK Jr. claims that he like blocked Olivia and then Olivia would reach him through other means, get him to unblock her because she'd be like, I have important tidbits to get you, and then send him pornographic images. So the allegation is that this is a one-way street of 31-year-old Olivia.
A 31-year-old woman who's engaged, by the way, she was
right.
engaged to
yes.
Politico's Ryan Lizza.
And is going to throw it all away.
Just to send, well, okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves again. So
there's so much.
There's so much. So first we heard inappropriate relationship, and then we found out digital affair. So then everyone is thinking it's just sexting, right? Just sexting between a 31-year-old.
Well, I wasn't just thinking that.
Okay. Well, what were you thinking?
Remember, and again, there's the foundation for this is like, do you remember during the campaign he did that like shirtless workout thing in California? And it was like giving toxic masculinity, Putin shooting a bear.
It was giving Putin. It was giving
like
Putin vibes.
Virality is the source of quality political candidates, right? Like, like this sort of tone isn't out of bounds for the campaign this man has run.
No, nor is it out of bounds for really the entire male Kennedy family's brand. Just gonna say that. Just okay.
Yeah.
All right, so digital affair. We're thinking sexting. We're thinking dick pics, and then the news breaks that this is before RFK said anything else. But the news broke that apparently RFK was bragging about this. That's what we heard. We heard that he was bragging that Olivia sent him tasteful nudes, and that's how her bosses at New York Magazine found out.
Yeah, and we don't really know the order of events, right? Like, did New York Mag find out before Oliver Darcy scooped it? What was happening? Another component of this is like, what does this do for Olivia's career? You know,
we've got to talk about that. Okay, let's take a quick break. And when we get back, I want to talk about RFK going on the offensive and then what happens to Olivia's career. Okay. All right, we are back. We are back with the weirdest affair of all time, the weirdest political affair of all time.
It's exactly the political affair we deserve in September of 20. You know what I mean? Like, it is exactly.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's unfulfilling. Ugh. Insufficiently salacious, but also exceptionally sad.
Sad. That's the thing. I think it's sad. And I wrote about this on my newsletter. You wrote a great newsletter about this week on your Substack, which everyone should subscribe to.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe. Just subscribe to all of our things. Where I just think everyone is kind of an idiot in this situation. Everyone made bad choices. Everyone made bad decisions.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, the political salience of this is like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wants to be president, and like this is his decision-making capacity.
That's the thing,
right?
I'm like, why? Like, really?
Yeah. If any of you have ever had imposter syndrome, just realize this man thinks he should be president of the United States.
Yeah. No, you should not have. Exactly. That should make you feel so good about yourself.
Yeah,
everybody.
so good.
Like so good. Well, and also, and I think about Olivia. I'm like, you want to be taken seriously. as a journalist in a world that is inherently skeptical of journalists right now, regardless of your gender, but it remains particularly hard for women journalists in the world. It still does. It's hard for women to be at the top of all games because patriarchy. And you do this. This is the hill you're gonna die on.
Yeah. Things were going great for her, you know?
They seemed to be going real good for her.
And again, want to just like clarify, this isn't slut shaming. This is
No, you too. Your body, your choice. Your body, your choice.
You know what I mean? That's not the problem. The problem is journalism ethics, right?
That's it.
And
that's all there is.
You know, so one of what is left in journalism ethics. Can we talk about House and Habit now?
Yeah. Well, all right.
Okay.
Let's put this on the table. Let's put it over there for just 1 minute. Okay. We're gonna put the Olivia RFK thing over there, and let's talk about House and Habit for a hot minute. Let's explain again for the listeners. I like to assume that someone may have just emerged, like Pauly Shore, or was it Brendan Fraser in that movie where he was like in ice for a long time? Explain House and Habit.
Yeah. So Jessica Reed Krause is she defines herself as an independent journalist, a citizen journalist.
A citizen journalist. I will tell you that in my new book that I just wrote, I mock the shit out of citizen journalists. But
really?
I do. There's just a nugget. There's just a nugget in there.
Team, we got a new Joe Piazza book coming. Get fucking ready.
Get fucking ready.
It's exciting. You guys are gonna love it. That's all I can tell you right now.
We can't say anything else till next week. There's a big reveal next week.
We cannot say anything else.
No, it's so exciting.
Okay, so she was like a mommy blogger. Like a classic, just run-of-the-mill mommy blogger, very hippy-dippy aesthetic, California. Rose to prominence taking the side of abusers in a series of large-scale cases. Weinstein, Epstein, Britney Spears, right? Like Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. That's the one I remember most.
That was a big one. I remember that one and Epstein. That's when she started coming on my radar.
Right. I think Britney was the first, and I think she was pro Britney, is my recollection. She became, and she realized that conspiracy theories are a really effective means of gaining followings.
Yeah, they sure are.
And she's very, very talented at weaving stories and using the mediums of Instagram and now Substack. She's Substack's top culture reporter. She's earning like solid coin. I think she's earning 7 figures at this point from her Substack alone.
Yeah.
You know, so all of this stuff pays. And as someone who has been wellness to right-wing pipeline red pilled, she was an early RFK Jr. supporter because she's anti-vax.
Yeah.
And she became, according to reporting from both Wall Street Journal and Semaphore in the spring, she was RFK Jr.'s de facto social media director. So she was publishing tons and tons of content online as a quote unquote independent journalist, all whilst being totally, and she uses this phrase, embedded in the campaign. That's the very specific phrase. And I do think it's really interesting to take a step backwards when you think about like me going to the DNC and me bringing my audience along for the ride. And part of that is it's our parasocial relationship gives them a unique perspective.
Yes.
I do not consider me going to the DNC to be an act of journalism. Right. And I think that's the distinction. Right. And I would never call myself a citizen journalist who's like, you know, gonna go get embedded in the campaign.
I'm embedded. Yeah. That's what we do with
like,
wars.
Correct.
Yeah.
So she did RFK Jr. for a while and then realized
she didn't do him.
Well, we don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
No. And then she started getting into MAGA. And her, like, the big thing she's done, she spends a lot of time at Mar-a-Lago and is often very much just talking about how wonderful it is there and how amazing he is and how, you know, nice everyone is to her. And it's very much adding this personal touch to really horrible set of policies and rhetoric that is an effective marketing tool for Trump's campaign. And she really has managed to balance the balls of being pro RFK Jr. and pro Trump for a long time until he finally endorsed, which was really fascinating. to the Olivia Nuzzi intersection
Yes.
is that so she wrote in like early September, she published a Substack profiling Olivia, talking about their 2-year long friendship that they developed. Really, really, again, her whole shtick is very much capital R romanticizing things,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
very, very, very buttery and peeling biography of this woman, right? Just
Yeah.
the bee's knees.
The
And
bee's
it's
knees.
very
The
long,
bee's
very
knees.
long. Sometimes what I don't really understand is like, who has time to consume all this content? It's just so much content.
It's
Um,
so well. There's too much content out there. We make. I mean, we make a lot of it. Which,
yeah,
but
but
you know,
I don't think when I write, I'm not writing to the end of the Substack limit every single day, you
no,
know?
you're not. No, because no one
Um,
should be reading that.
so I don't,
You should have other things to do
right.
besides read to the end of the Substack limit. But also, her
Um,
writing isn't good.
no,
Can
it's
I just
not.
say that it's just which I look. I can. We should do a 5-part series on this
We
because
should literary analysis. We'll
literary
bring on a
criticism.
professor of literary
Yeah.
criticism.
Yeah.
So she writes this long florid profile, and then the news breaks, and then she has already come out with a new about face, being like, "I was tricked by Olivia." Number one, Jessica stands by her man. She's full in with RFK Jr. She
Yes.
takes his side, as she is wont to do.
As she's want to do.
And so she writes an extreme, and honestly, it's probably the single most interesting pieces of her writing that I've ever read.
I
Because
haven't read it.
she's like, I don't know how I got led down this path of believing Olivia. She is a siren who seduced me like she seduces everybody else, like she seduced Bobby. And she was just using me for access. And I can't believe I let myself fall for this. And it's this like extremely lengthy post where she goes into it, and then she defends Bobby Kennedy Jr. And thereafter, the New York Post quotes her as if this is fact. And so it very much begets this conversation of like, how do we create fact today in the year of our Lord 2024? And that is like one of the most interesting aspects of this whole conversation, right?
For me, it's the most interesting aspect of this conversation because as I've been following the story, as I've been following the developments, as someone who has been a journalist for a very long time, for more of my life than I haven't been a journalist, so many outlets are reporting so many things as facts right now, of which are coming from very tenuous sources. And I find it terrifying. I find it terrifying for the state of journalism. I'm a person who lives inside the world of journalism. I mean, I dip in, I dip out these days, but I can't imagine what the average American thinks of any of this. I mean, I see where the distrust of media comes from. I do.
Yeah, I totally see where the distrust comes from, but like as a content creator, people wanted content immediately.
People want the content immediately. Well, and this has always been the problem with digital journalism, right? This has been a problem for 20 years. And yet, I do feel like sources still used to be better vetted than they are today. I mean, you can't just have a citizen journalist posting something and then writing it as if it's fact. And many, many, many outlets have.
And yeah, I mean, look, I went to the Post because I figured the Post is exactly who engages in this bad behavior. They are at the forefront of this bad behavior.
Sure, and I love the Post. Okay, like I love the Post. I wrote for the Daily News for a long time. Like the Post and I were like going head to head all the time.
Right.
I've got a big appreciation for New York City's tabloid journalism, but yeah, I mean the Post reported a lot of this, and a lot of other places did too.
And like, the fact that Ben Smith at Semaphore immediately posts, we were scooped by Oliver Darcy, we didn't respond to this anonymous thing. And it's like, you wonder how long people vetted this information. How did they confirm the affair to begin with? Right. Like, fascinating. We haven't seen any text messages. RFK Jr. has said he's going to start litigating.
Yes. That's what I want to get into. That's what I want to get into after our next break. Because what I do want to talk about is, like I said, I think everyone in this situation made bad decisions. As a journalist, Olivia Nuzzi clearly made bad decisions. That said, I do feel like now she is getting thrown under the bus, and like the media's language around her sucks. And it's language you don't use to talk about a man. And yes, I want to talk about RFK's next steps. I want to talk about Olivia's next steps and how RFK has gone very much on the offensive and Olivia has not.
Mm.
Okay, we're back. We're back with, like I said, the weirdest sex scandal of all time. The latest is that apparently RFK is litigating this. But is this only coming from House and Habit, or has the defunct campaign, actually released a statement saying they're going to litigate?
This is just from House and Habit.
That's the thing. Everyone is reporting this as real, and it's coming from a citizen journal, right?
Yeah, but she's also his.
She's also his social media manager, but does that make her his de facto spokesperson?
Yeah. And I think that like saying you're going to sue is a classic defense mechanism. And the problem with suing someone is then you are in fact in a court of law where facts do reign.
Yeah.
So it's not clear to me if, well, okay. I think that RFK Jr., to me, it seems pretty obvious that like he's not telling the full story.
Just 100%.
Based off my experience with men in general.
The men.
In general, and more specifically with what we know of his history and the Kennedy family and et cetera, men behaving badly.
Yes.
The idea that this man is running for president and is like good faith blocking someone who's sending you pornography and then repeatedly unblocks them to get sent pornography, that wouldn't happen. That's illogical.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so much about it doesn't make sense.
If you're actually running for office, you don't do any of this, right? Like
No, you just don't. Well,
you don't.
But again, you said this to me when you texted this to me over the weekend, and you're like, you don't do this. I'm like, who does this? And I was like, well, men. I mean, men in power. You could say that like a president,
John Edwards.
Yes, a presidential candidate whose bus I was on during his campaign would know better than to sleep with his videographer. You would just genuinely.
I just never understand, how do these men have so much time? It's always my question.
So much time. They have so much time.
How do you have time to have all these affairs?
I know. It's just
I am tired.
I'm tired.
Well, it's because we're doing all of the labor,
Well, because women do all of the labor. And apparently House and Habit does all of the labor as she's in bed.
She does. I mean, I will say, you got to give it to her. That woman works. She really does. So it takes a lot of time to produce all of those inches. So you were talking a little bit before the break about how there's the media coverage of this event is representing a real gender dichotomy here. Can you get into that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say even just in the past 24 hours, we're seeing a lot of coverage of Olivia Nuzzi as a temptress, as a siren, as just bombarding him with nude photos against his consent. I mean, they're playing the, RFK side here is playing the consent card. I mean, it's a real offensive that the media picks up because the media loves stereotypes about women as seductresses. And I think back so often because I covered Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie hooking up, which did end Brad Pitt's marriage to America's sweetheart, Jennifer Aniston. And the coverage was constantly Angelina Jolie as the aggressor, Angelina Jolie as the seductress, as the temptress, as witch that seduced him away from America's sweetheart. When we know that, their marriage really just fizzled and ended, and it takes two to end a marriage. And, there was nothing about Angelina Jolie except, for the fact that she is an exceptional, made her the one to end this marriage. So the media just loves to create a villain out of a beautiful young woman, instead of a horny old man. For some reason, we never throw a horny old man under the bus. It's the same with Monica Lewinsky. Who got the worst end of that media treatment? Yeah, Monica or Bill?
Bill was just at the DNC. I think he's doing fine.
And Monica's doing great right now. She's doing amazing, but she got treated like shit.
Yeah, she did. It is the old Eve of it all. And one of the things that always gets sort of bandied about after these types of things, eventually at the end in the postmortem that we're doing as a society, is like, this isn't about Olivia hearing this, it's about your daughters hearing you how you talk about Olivia type of thing. Right.
Totally.
But I,
Totally.
very much do think that when I have been talking about it, I have been trying to focus on RFK Jr. because for the media analysis aspect, because I
Yes.
do think that like we all sort of got screamed at for a year about taking RFK Jr.'s presidential run more seriously. We were all like very much like belittled for being like, this is not serious. He's obviously running a spoiler campaign. Like this man
Mhm.
has no interest or capability of being president. And like I just like a never ending splooge of third party nutbags in my DMs telling me that like how rude and like you don't care. And I'd be like, well, I'm just the math's not mathing here. And I think for me, this is just like proof positive, right? Like this man was never serious about running for president. This is a vanity exercise. I will say he's not stopping, right? Like he is
No, he's actively trying to get on the New York ballot.
actively at the Supreme Court trying to get on the New York ballot to act as a spoiler. His lawyer is a Trump lawyer, right? Like he was on stage, I think last week talking about how Trump has told him he's going to get to be in charge of all of the political appointments at HHS, FDA, like he is going to be the one deciding who gets placed where. It's not as if he is RFK Jr. is now embedded in the Trump campaign, right?
RFK
Um,
Jr. is now embedded in the Trump campaign,
and like
100%.
that, it's sort of like funny to mock and make fun of him because he does things like have a worm in his brain and kill a baby bear and
The baby bear, the baby bear. Let's never forget.
the whale,
Yeah.
so many weird things. But also, like, if that man is in charge of the FDA, we have some big fucking problems on our hands, right?
Yeah,
Like, and
no
that's gonna affect
shit.
us.
No shit.
He holds
Yes.
himself out to have like real opinions on real issues that could affect all of us. And so then we're sort of like brought back down to like, oh, wait, this is serious.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, he's just, to me, for so many reasons, he is a massive wackadoo. And my DMs will be open if you want to attack me for it. Go ahead.
Say, please leave a comment on our YouTube attacking us.
Please leave a comment. Please share.
Yeah,
Please share this
yeah.
episode. Please share this episode with all of your wackadoo friends.
They can just go leave those comments. Give us the engagement.
Leave those comments and
all
order
right.
my new book. Yes, but we're gonna do listener questions, but
It's 29 minutes.
we're running short on time, so why don't we just do a plea for listener questions?
Yeah.
We want to hear from you and we want to answer your questions. We want to know what you want to know about. And a great one that we've gotten so far that I get asked at almost every event that I do is like, how do you juggle it all? How do you do all of the things that you do? And I think that's really important because as women, we are often caregivers for both children and families and puppies and all of the things. And it is a lot. And I think that hearing how other women do it is so, so important. That's one I like. But send us questions, slide into our DMs with whatever you want to know. Ask us anything. We're open books, probably to a fault. I mean, my agents fucking hate it. Yeah, they do. They do. And, we were talking about quickly what we think will happen to Olivia Nuzzi. I don't like the fact that a lot of outlets are now dredging up her whole relationship history. They're like, she dated Keith Olbermann. Who didn't? Okay? Everyone I know dated Keith Olbermann.
Yeah, I have heard that, actually.
Literally everyone I know made out with Keith Olbermann at some point. So, that has no bearing on this story. That is slut-shaming, frankly.
Yeah. What I hope is that Olivia doesn't fall into right-wing propaganda, right? Like one of the cycles we have seen repeatedly is when people, and this is not her situation, but like when people get canceled, for example, right? Or like people who behave badly, who have no other alternative means for making money, they realize like they can engage in the right-wing grift, and it is a very, very effective way to make money, right? And I am sure there's a bunch of outlets, like the Breitbarts of the world, who are trying to scoop her up right now.
Yep.
And she is a good writer, right? Like she does.
Great writer. Her profiles are great.
Yeah, and like she does really good work, and I hope she lives her dreams, whatever those dreams are, and I hope that she finds happiness not at the bottom of a sext to RFK Jr.
A really nice way to drop the mic and end this episode, Emily.
Yeah. We may each all find happiness.
May we all find happiness. Yeah. And also with you.
All right, you guys, come follow us. I'm at Emily in Your Phone on Instagram, Substack, TikTok increasingly. Find me there if you want to know, did I get the stopper out of the olive oil bottle?
It's so weird what you did with that olive oil bottle. It's
So,
so
you know,
weird. Some people get tasteful nudes in their text message inbox, and I just get weird videos of you with olive
yeah, I
oil.
did get a text message from Joe Piazza saying, Emily, why are there videos of you and a bottle all over my Instagram? And I was like, well, watch them, Joe, and you'll find out.
I was like, I don't have time. I'm
Yeah,
tired. I'm tired.
I'm too tired.
I can't have a digital affair with you, Emily. I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Guys, I'm gonna keep sending her suggestive videos about top
She
stuck in
is.
my olive oil bottle.
Bye.